All right, guys, it is Wednesday morning. Back out here again. And yesterday I got the entire front homemade patch panel welded in all the way around. I got my patch panel here welded in. I got this all welded back in. And I actually started on the Transtunnel patch. This is a funny story. I've had, back in the 90s, I bought a 55 Nomad and it come with tons of parts. And anyway, he had cut this, he said, out of a copper colored 56 Chevy, and you can kind of see the copper here a little bit. But anyway, this Transtunnel I've had since the 90s, and it's just been thrown around here and there, and probably reality is I never would use it anyway. So I got to looking at it real good, and it's actually got a rust hole right there, and there's lots of pitting in it, especially back here on this side, really bad. So I just went ahead and decided to cut it up, and I'm going to throw it away now. So these Transtunnels, they have a funky shape to them. They actually they kind of curve up a little bit, and they also have a lighter bend here than they do here. I mean, I still could have replicated it out of just flat metal, but just by tweaking around on it. But it was easier just to cut that out to stick it up in there. So I drilled I actually used a self-driller screw right there and just put it in a few threads, and that was my handle to hold on to it as I set it up there where it was flush to butt weld it. Still got to do the bottom and you know, completely finish it. But progress, man, slowly but surely. So this morning I've been finishing up getting the fiberglass crap off the brace coming down over there. Did find a little rust in the toe board. So I got a giant mess here I'm getting ready to sweep up and throw in the trash. But what I ended up doing was I took a drill with like an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I drilled a few holes around this curve of the brace here. I can't get around to this side because the board's in my way, but anyway, I drilled a few holes right next to that brace all the way through that rusty floor, and that way I'll know where my brace is when I'm cutting it out. I'll bring you around here and show you. You can see up here where the curve is, so I kind of got an idea where to cut it, because I'm leaving the brace there. The brace is still good. I'll just have to clean, you know, all this crud off here, and then I'm going to leave this brace. But anyway, I've got my line here. This is really nice in this corner right here, other than that, but so I'm going to have to kind of make it go around here. But anyway, it'll come up and over around this way and down into the pinch weld, and I'm going to chop it out of there. I'm not looking forward to it because there's fiberglass there, so there's going to be fiberglass everywhere. I thought this side was good here, so I come over here after I peeled some fiberglass off of it and beat around on it with a hammer, and it's rotted too. So I'm going to have to take out quite a bit of this because this is pretty heavily pitted right here. So I got some work to do, basically. So I'll get that done. And I actually pre-fit, if I can find what the heck I done with it. It's only one of them sitting there. Oh, it's right there. So these little channel covers right here, they go right here. And I can tell you right now, if your car is in bare metal and you got brand new door sill plates, you know, the little straight fancy little plate covers here that go, and you also have gotten those wire covers, which are these things here, from a different car, and you're in the metalwork stage, I would go ahead and pretty much pre-fit the ones you got, but more than likely you're going to have to weld up a couple of holes, because I only had to weld one up and then re-drill it. You use an 1/8 inch bit for a number 8 screw. That's what your sill plate takes, and that's what these takes, is a number 8 screw. Anyway, this one's actually for the other side. But so what I'm going to do when I get to welding here in a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and weld up my door sill plate screw holes right here, these 4 in a row, because most of the time these are at least one stripped out, it seems like, and somebody's put, you know, different screws or a bigger screw in there. I'm gonna go ahead and weld them all up, and then because my door sill plates ain't from this car, so I know they're probably not going to line up worth a crap. But anyway, I've got that one pre-fit, and I've even got my screws out here. I've got quite a few of this type of screw here, and they have a nice little they have a wide head, but they have a nice soft dome to them, and I kind of like them, and they're stainless steel, so they're not going to rust. But I've got a whole bunch of them, so that's what I'm going to be attaching all of the covers with, is these. Now those covers, I will probably end up blasting them with my portable sandblaster at a later date. I don't need them done now. I'll blast them real good, put some aerosol, just, you know, etching primer on there, a couple of little coats on it. And then at that point, when I do the floors, I'll spray those as well with POR 15, so they'll be nice and cleaned up. I got my battery box out because I'm doing metal work. I'm going to go ahead and patch this. I actually thought that was the only rust hole it had was back here, but it actually has some up there too. So I'm going to get some same gauge sheet metal. I think it's that right there. And I'm just going to cut these out in a nice square and bend them in my sheet metal brake and butt weld them in and grind them. This I'm going to blast as well. And if I do any bed liner, I will use that stuff. I've got a couple of cans of the bed liner that you buy at O'Reilly's. It's Duplicolor, I think, and it's the brush on or roll on type. It comes in a gallon can. That stuff is a rubbery coating. It when it dries, it collects dust real bad because it's still kind of, the rubber stuff is soft on there, so you can't really clean it as good as you can Raptor liner. Raptor liner dries very, very hard, which is actually what I have in my trunk of my hardtop here and underneath the car. This that's Raptor liner right there, and it's catalyzed, and you have to have a chutes gun to spray it, but it dries as a hard coating instead of a soft like the roll-in bed liners are. But I can tell you one thing I learned a long time ago on those roll-in bed liners. If you do your floors in your car and you plan on doing some, you know, roll-on bed liner in the floor, which is not a bad idea, you know, a can of roll-on bed liner is not that expensive, but if you use the regular tube style seam sealer and like a household style caulking gun, that stuff, you know, is soft, and even though it says it's paintable, when you seam seal your car with that stuff, because it is inexpensive for just the stuff in the single little thin, you know, round tube, when you go to put that bed liner on there, that stuff stays wet for a long time, and it will actually wrinkle up and mess up every bit of that seam sealer. So be cautious of that. The best seam sealer to use is the 2-part style, but you have to have that special gun, and the stuff is very expensive. So what I'm going to try to do on this car is, I think I have a couple of tubes of the regular seam sealer. This is kind of what I'm talking about. That 2-part seam sealer takes a style gun, and I don't even know what this is, panel bond probably. But anyway, that stuff's like 30 bucks for one of those, and it takes a few to do the car. But this old school style like this, you know, this stuff's pretty cheap, but that bed liner will wrinkle it up. Now, I have not tried putting a primer over the top of the seam sealer after it dries and then put the bed liner on. That may help it. When I did it, I just went over the raw seam sealer in the caulking gun tubes, and it wrinkled it up, like it come loose and everything. So it was a giant mess. So don't do what I did. Learn the hard way. Now on my hardtop, I ended up using 2-part seam sealer in it, and I think I used like 4, maybe even 5 of those, because I redid all, I knocked every bit of the old stuff out of here. I redid all around the trunk, all in the main floor of the car back here, and everything is all that 2-part stuff. So it was expensive, but when that stuff dries, it dries hard as a rock, and you can actually sand it. You can shape it. So, you know, for doing your firewall, it works out really nice because you don't get this goofy looking crap right here from the factory. I've already peeled a lot of this stuff out. They had that butyl style stuff in here that's sticky and like a rubbery shit, but they had it packed all in here, like big clumps of it. You know, you can see where it was. It was just, that was all packed right there, and I peeled it all out of there. But you know, the factory seam sealer stuff is just, it's gnarly. They just, you know, it's mass produced. It was designed to keep moisture out, and that's all they cared about. So, especially down here where it's all gnarly, but I'll eventually get all this stuff out of here, and then I'll use that 2-part down in there and make it nice and clean looking. Eventually. Right now, I just want to get the floors done and try to get the underneath car side of the car done and painted. So anyway, I'm pretty happy, man. It's coming together slowly. You know, metalwork kind of sucks, but I enjoyed it when I started, and now I'm kind of over it. You know what I mean? But I need to soldier on and finish it up. I want to get that side done, get the tranny tunnel done. I have to patch the toe board. I got a little spot over there, and I actually found one over here a while ago with a screwdriver, so I'm gonna have to get in there and patch on it. And it's the way it is. It's a can of worms, and that's why when somebody has me do sheet metal work on their car, I charge by the hour. I do not give a flat rate, because you will lose your butt if you do. Because every time you dig into one deep, you always find more. So if you flat rated it, you would be sunk, basically. Metalwork costs a lot of money. It's very time consuming. Unless you just cut the hole in the floor and then overlap patch everything, and you know, good to go, I guess. But I don't like doing that. So what else? It is looking like it's gonna rain, and it probably will. Just when I get everything out, you know what I mean? But anyways, that's where we're at.